When I think about wisdom and knowledge, I see a Venn diagram that has the overlapping. So there's some wisdom in the knowledge and some knowledge in the wisdom, but they each hold their own section. I love Venn diagrams. Um, Knowledge is easily transferred from one person to another. That's why we have teachers and professors and parents, and because knowledge is shared and it's evidence-based. So you can check it out to find out if that knowledge is actually accurate or not, which in this day and age is not a small thing, fact checking. Fact checking checking has become a whole nother thing that we have to subscribe to literally and figuratively, because we need to make sure that the information and knowledge that we are sharing is accurate. And there's so much discussion in these days and so many loose lips. That loose lips sink ships. Hello, Sue Pipel. Nice to see you. Loose lips sink ships is so true right now in the world we're living in, because so much information, because of the ways in which we can communicate, which are so much broader than they used to be. I remember the telephone party line. Do you guys remember that? Some of us will. Where you had to share the line and you'd get on and they'd be having a conversation. You could listen to it. You could hear what the neighbor was going on in their marriage. Like you could find out all sorts of things. When I was a young girl, I remember that, and waiting to get a space on the party line so you could make your call. And now today we spread information seamlessly, which is really dangerous because seamless isn't always accurate. It's just flooding. It floods around. So knowledge is taking on a distinct challenge for us in this era and at this time in the world. Um, but wisdom is more poetic and elusive, and it's not transferable from one person to another, though there are teachers who can open you up to wisdom and who can nurture wisdom within you. But wisdom isn't a set of information that is passed on. It's reflective and it's interior, and it's something that comes through us as we have an experience of life and as we shed layers of judgments and expectations and mindsets that may be concretized or may have formed around whatever our upbringing or whatever. As we learn to shed those layers, we start to find ourselves more reflective and more available to be able to share these small truths and large truths, but not in a concrete way of an absolute, but in a, I love when, if you look anywhere, you look at Jesus' teachings or Buddha's teachings, there's so much metaphor in it. And there's so much about the way that they taught that wasn't concrete. You had to take it to its end place. They gave you the pieces to it and they gave you the fragrance of it, but you had to enter into it through your own portal and your own ability to hold that wisdom in a certain way. So the truth and wisdom, how do those work together? Because wisdom's not something you can prove, like a piece of information that we could do that we would call knowledge. Wisdom embraces equanimity. That's its quality. Wisdom embraces slow thinking. It requires slow thinking so that we are able to recognize in ourselves, as we're stripping these layers off, old patterns, and we're able to move into new paradigms. So wisdom requires of us shifting and growing and deepening and expanding. It requires that. You cannot obtain wisdom when you stay in a contracted state. Wisdom doesn't operate in contraction. So the qualities of a wise person are more like character traits rather than details of accounting for knowledge. So having, when we used to do business cards when there was such a thing, and people who had a lot of degrees would list all their degrees after their name. Here are all the places where I have knowledge. And now when we look at it, that's lovely. Knowledge is a particularly useful thing to have, but knowledge isn't the basis for wisdom. And where is wisdom being honored? You don't see anywhere on those business cards, wisdom, just wisdom. You're carrying wisdom. So how we live transmits wisdom as one of the characteristics of us. You can see in a person's life that they're a wisdom carrier. It's not the content of their mind. You don't ask them to answer certain questions and then saying you're a wise person, but you can observe the wisdom in them as you see how they work through their life. And their virtues, they convey a life experience and a reverence for life. So there's this wisdom carries a reverence. It carries innately, wisdom carries a certain spiritual quality, however we want to define spiritual, but it carries a quality of that. That's the quality we're looking through rather than a mind quality. We're looking through a different integrated quality. So if we look through the lens of mystical teachings, it's often, almost always, not the learned ones who are considered the wisdom carriers. The wisdom carriers are the humble servants who carry grace. The humble servants. So you find the wisdom carrier within the community. The wise one also knows many things, is also very capable of carrying knowledge to be able to use in the time that we need to have information. We use information to be able to make decisions and move forward. But the wisdom that was used is what makes for an incredible leader and guide and a guidepost within a community. So stepping into wisdom is an organic process because life has its own plan. So it's organic and it's happening to us and through us, just if we get up in the morning. Because as life happens to us and for us, our wisdom is deepened. We can't avoid it. It's coming through us because we have to get up every day and hold that which is happening within us and around us. And wisdom is also a practice. So it's both an organic process that is happening to us, for us, with us, and it's a practice of refinement. How we live invites in the possibility of wisdom. So it's a choice. We get to make a choice. I want to be a wise one. I want to embrace life in a way that what's coming to me is the alchemy of it becomes wisdom making rather than just another experience that I check off. Something else I've done, something else that's happened to me, something else I've had to deal with, and now it's behind me. Instead of taking it as the process of what is carrying us into wisdom. And we know that the more challenging things that happen to us and situations in our life, those are the ones that are opening up to our wisdom experience because we're being pushed into it. We don't always walk easily into wisdom, but sometimes we do. It depends on who you are and how you're walking through your life. But this practice of refinement requires us to take on certain other disciplines so that we are creating. So we shift from being this cauldron that's filled with pieces of knowledge to a chalice. And I really love that idea that we go from being a cauldron, which is a wonderful holder. A cauldron is a beauty. I like the sound of that also, but a chalice, because a chalice on its own invites in a certain reverence. And then we find that wisdom is overflowing from a chalice. A cauldron is holding knowledge. Wonderful. We want to be both. So how to get there? I recently heard my friend Phil Goldberg, I think some of you know, and who is my interfaith buddy from my interfaith teaching. He and I were buddied up together and have been friends for 20 some years now. He has a podcast and he was interviewing an author whose name is Peter Bollard, and he wrote a book called The 7 Stone Path. And he said this path is not a ladder. It's simply some ingredients. And each of these stones on this path become exposed and polished within their own timing in your life. So they may not be in this particular order, but these qualities or elements are the ones that he is using in his understanding of how we take this journey into wisdom. So I thought I would just share them with you because they're beautiful and they're not unusual things we haven't already talked about and we haven't already imagined as what we want to incorporate. However, if we take these qualities and these intentions and behaviors, they become a discipline that is intentional towards having us develop this chalice that we are so that we can be wisdom guides, so that we can be the elders. We're in the stage of moving into the elders of our family and of our community and being the metaphorical grandmother. This is a role that is so important in our culture today, given everything that's going on. this is a time, and we know, I mean, the baby boomers, we're a whole different set of individuals that are now moving into this. It's like a funnel, and we've come to the close part of it, and we're having to go through it in another birthing. How funny, where there's another birthing that happens to us as we move into the elder stage and into the wisdom carrier. So I'm just going to give you these 7 different stones from his idea and just see how they resonate for you, and if you might pick up some of them. The first one he said is acceptance, the acceptance of impermanence and where we're starting from, sitting with what is. Where are you in your life now? Not as a judgment, not as a let me just go through and chronicle all of it. No, just where am I now? And accepting where I am now, and how do I continue this journey from where I am? So stone 1, acceptance. The second stone is surrender, of course, deep renunciation, letting go of the illusion of control, renouncing it and enjoying that the recovery work of recovering from whatever is happening in our life, in our relationships, in our health, in the journey that we're in, whatever is happening, that it is still the movement towards the divine. And that there is a paradox in the action of surrender and the stepping into power. That in order to have power, you can't act more powerful, you have to surrender, and then you step into your power. So surrender. The third is engagement, bringing in the world where decision and choices are coming at us so constantly. How do we engage with the purity of heart? How do we stay not judgmental, not reactive? Engagement with a purity of heart. The fourth is allowance, patience for the working out of life, patience for those around us who are not in the same place in this journey as we are, and who are grasping ways to be able to understand their own journey, that we have the allowance for that, the patience for that. And that we are the water, that we see ourselves as the water, because we know water flows in and around and through. It doesn't try to move the boulder. It goes around the boulder. It goes around, that we become the allowance for that fluidity in our life, because that leads others to be able to step into their own power and for them to surrender as well. The fifth stone is enjoyment, the hallmark of the human condition, joy. We talk so much about joy. Joy is elusive. What is it? How do we get it? When do I feel it? What is it made up of? The enjoyment. I like to take the word joy and his expansion of it to enjoyment, because enjoyment feels more containable to me, more approachable. I can have enjoyment. Joy feels like I have to, for me, like I've got to get a definition of it. It feels more elusive, but enjoyment can be applied to every movement we make throughout the day, the hallmark of the human condition. The sixth is love, all of the things that are impossible to language, the longing for movement, for the movement from confusion to clarity, from discord to coherence, from ignorance to wisdom. We chant about this, we talk about it, using love as the vehicle. And the last and seventh of his stones is integration, working with the tension between all of the opposites, which are the experience of life, which is, we know from the Buddhist tradition and all the different traditions who teach the yin and the yang. If you don't have the opposites, we don't know the one. We can't know one without knowing where it bumps up against what isn't one. We have to have that, the opposites, and to find a new way of thinking, integrating all of this wisdom that we are walking into naturally, how to integrate it so that it then becomes our expression of life. And with all of its nuances and all of the ultimate little pieces that have to go together, that we can pull them all together and we can step into that place of the grandmother wisdom, and we step into that place of being carriers. We carry our chalice forward. So I am inviting you to take this next week as a discipline and a practice to start pulling into all of these different aspects and understand that this is our journey, because as we bring in life and accept it and we allow it to flourish in us, it is also our place of stepping in and claiming our wisdom. And now as elders, this is our time to do it and to be able to offer that back. And life is bringing you that natural entry point, whether we like it or not. It's coming.
I like it, that we like it or not, it's coming. No way around it. Okay, so what I wanted to do this morning is just breathing. And for the first pranayama, which will be for 3 minutes, I want us all to have all fingertips touch like a tippy. The heels of your hands are separated, and you just hold this mudra. Arms are relaxed, so the fingertips pointing forward. The emphasis of your breath will be on the exhalation, like, yeah, so you don't hear your inhale. So that activates actually the Kundalini below the belly button. Then we will go into a breath of fire, where we have an equal in an exhale through the nose. And we will interlace our fingers on top of our crown and feeling the connection from the breath of fire, which is more located in the navel and the solar plexus, activating the diaphragm and pushing more oxygenated blood into our brain. And then we will bring our arms up, fingertips touch, thumbs are extended. A little bit hard to see here. And we do another breath of fire, which is very rapidly. And then we go into alternate nostril breathing. I will guide you through all this. And then into left nostril breathing. So it's a nice little sequence that you can actually practice every morning. It's wonderful. It activates, it balances, and then it calms. Yeah. So let's start with the first one. All fingertips touch, pointing forward, balancing all the elements in your body. Emphasis on your exhale. Good. Take a deep inhalation. Exhalation. Interlace your fingers, place them on top of your crown. So with the first one, you activated the Kundalini, which is often dormant in our first and second energy center. Now we are going into the third and the fourth center and pushing oxygenated blood into our brain. The equal in an exhale through your nose. Good, and take a deep inhalation. Exhale, open mouth. 2 more times, inhale. Exhale, open mouth. 1 more time. Good, now we open our eyes, we bring our arms up. So the fingertips touch the pads, yeah? So we're decreasing the air, the ether, the earth, and the water, and activating the fire and the lung meridian. We bring our arms up, we keep them straight. See that you keep them straight? And a stronger breath of fire goes faster. Inhale, keep your arms up. Exhale, open mouth, inhale. Exhale. 1 more time. Good, and then rest your left hand onto your lap. Right palm faces your face. We all know the alternate nostril breathing. Close your right nostril with your thumb. Exhale through your left nostril. Inhale left. Close your left nostril. Open the right, exhale right. And then inhale right. Close the right nostril, exhale left. And then you inhale left again. And continue this pattern. We activate it. Now we bring balance. You exhale out of your left nostril the next time. You just open your right palm to the left, your right thumb is still closing your right nostril. And now we continue only the left nostril breathing to calm our mind and our body. Just in and out through the left. This kind of calmness and coolness is so needed in this time.